Let's now understand how we can take user input in Python. In order to take user input in Python, we use a built-in function called input. It's really very easy to use and you are going to love it for sure because taking user input is a very exciting thing. So as you can see, I have this handbook ready for you because I really want you to understand the concept and not jot things down. So I've already done the hard work for you so that you can make the most out of this course. In this handbook, you'll see all the concepts, and at the end of this course, I'll also give you the consolidated handbook so that you can revise the concepts as and when you want. In order to take user input from the user, we use the input function, which allows us to take the user input from the keyboard. What does it mean? Let's try to understand this with the help of a program. So in this folder, I'll create a new program. So let's open this folder in VS Code and I'm going to create a program called input.py. Let us say I want to ask my user to enter a number. I can do something like a is equal to input and then I can say enter a number and let's run this program. And the user can type a number and press enter and the program exits. Nothing happens, because we are just taking the input from the user. Since we already know that Python instructions are executed line by line, this particular line takes the user input and assigns it to a variable a. Now what we can do is we can print a and we can say print a, and after printing a, whatever user enters will be printed on the screen. So if I say 45, 45 is printed on the screen. Great. What if I enter another number? If I enter 56, 56 is printed on the screen, which is amazing, right? Alright, so we now understand how user input is taken in Python. It's really very simple. Okay, so you now understand it. Can I enter a name? Can I say b is equal to input? And can I do something like enter your name? Yes, you can do that. And if you run this program, enter a number, 34, number is printed. Now enter your name, Harry. Harry is not printed because line number 4 is simply saying that take the user input and assign it to variable b. And let's do that. If I print b, I can also print that variable. So line number 4 says that assign the value which is entered by the user to variable b and then print that variable. And when we print this variable, we are simply going to see this on the screen. So let's enter a number which is 1 and let's this time enter a name Shubham. So enter your name Shubham and you can see Shubham is printed on the screen. If you enter a number say 0 and you say John Doe, John Doe will be printed on the screen. So whatever you enter will be printed on the screen because input function is taking input from the user. Now did you see the string inside the input that I entered? This is called the prompt. This is simply a string that we put inside input and this is an optional string, but I highly recommend that you use this. What will happen if we don't have the prompt? Let's remove the prompt and see what happens. Actually, our program is not asking anything. It's not prompting us for anything. And the reason is that we removed the prompt. And you should not remove the prompt because it's not a good practice, but you can always do that if you want. Now, if I enter a number, it is assigned to A, but it's not a good idea because it doesn't give a good feel to our user, whoever is executing our program, right? Now, let's enter a number and let's this time enter Jack. And Jack is printed on the screen. So it's always a good idea to put this prompt at place inside the input function. Input function takes this prompt as an optional parameter. But this optional parameter is highly recommended. Now let me show you something. This is very interesting. So I want you to pay all the attention and let's create a program called 02 underscore add.py. Let's write a simple program which will take user input and then add two numbers. Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. Let me show you how. So we say a is equal to and we say input, enter first number, and then we say b is equal to, and then we say input, and then we say enter second number, and then we simply say print a plus b. And this should be able to print two numbers, right? Yes, it should be, but will it print the sum of two numbers? It might not. Let me tell you, but Before that, let's keep the program simple and let's add 3 to the number instead. So what I'm doing is I'm writing a simple program. I'm saying enter first number A and I'm adding 3 to that number. A very simple program. Now tell me what will happen if I enter 34. You might think that 37 will be printed because 34 plus 3 is 37. But you'll be wrong if you say that. Let me show you why. If I press enter, I'll get an error. And this might be very strange for you and you might be shocked like, why did this happen? Let's read the error. Let's see what the Python interpreter is telling us. It says type error can only concatenate string, not int to str. So it's basically saying that this is a string and this is an integer and you cannot add an integer to a string. Okay, but I entered a number. Well, you entered a number, but Python processed that number as a string. Alright, so Python is processing that number as a string. Now what will happen is that A will get whatever user enters as a string. Once again, whatever you enter, A will get it as a string, which means that even if you enter a number, the type of that number will be a string. So when I type 34 here, it's as good as saying A is equal to 34 as a string. Now we know that this is a string and you cannot add 3 to string. You cannot do that, okay? So in order to fix this issue, I'll have to typecast. And this is where typecasting comes to our rescue. So what I can do is I can say that, hey, convert A to integer version of A. A is equal to int A. Basically what I'm saying is convert A to int version of A, okay? And after I do this, I'll get the result that I want. So if I enter 34 this time and press enter, you'll see 37 has been printed on the screen. And this is what we expected at the first place, right? Awesome. So this is how Python interpreter works when it comes to input function. Okay. Now, what if we want to add 2 numbers? Well, we can do that. Just we did this one. So let's write the program from scratch this time. And this time what I'll do is I'll say A is equal to input and I'll say enter first number and then I'll say B is equal to input and then I'll say enter second number and then I'll say print A plus B. But wait, I did not convert A and B to integers. I should do that, right? Yes, I should do that. One way of converting this A to integer is just like we did before. A is equal to int of A and B is equal to int B. So I can do something like this. But will this work? Yes, this will definitely work. But there is a better way, or I should say there is a shortcut to do this. But let's run a program and see if our program is working or not. So the first number is 3, second number is 4, 3 plus 4 is 7. Our program works. Now let's work on improving this program even further. How can we improve this program even further? We can remove these lines. Let me comment these lines out. There is nothing wrong in what we did before, but I'm just showing you another way of doing the same thing. So if we say int and then we say input, and you can always have multiple cursors in VS Code by pressing Alt. So if I toggle my screencast mode, you'll see that I'm pressing Alt, and after I press Alt and click anywhere, I'll get multiple cursors. This is a VS Code functionality and it's really amazing. You can type whatever you want at multiple cursor locations. And this time I'm just typing a closing bracket. So int starts here. This is the opening bracket. This is the closing bracket, and then input starts here. This is the opening bracket. This is the closing bracket. So how will Python interpreter process this program? It will say, okay, input, enter first number. You'll enter a number, say 34 as a string. And then that string is converted to integer. Yes, it will be converted to integer and will be assigned to A. So A is equal to int, input, enter first number. B is equal to int, input, enter second number. And now if you run this program and you enter 2 numbers, let us say I enter 4 and this time let's enter 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6 is printed on the screen. and I have summarized everything that I taught you in the handbook. So make sure that you access the handbook. It's really very important for you to access it because I have summarized everything for you in this handbook, and I've worked really hard to make this handbook and this course the best learning experience for you. In the next video, we are going to learn about comments, escape sequences, and more about print statement. So I'll see you in the next video.